Oh, hello, friends. Let's see. Let's make sure everybody can hear everybody. Go ahead, Scott.
Hello, can you hear me? I can hear you.
There he is. He's there. I see him coming in on the thing. Diddy.
Hello, testing 1, 2. Brown foxes and jumping.
Okay, there we go. That makes sense. Friends, we're here to do a show, and it's all about psychology of video games and stuff this time. Hope everybody's doing well. Nismaru, Brudersma, Oddly Normal One. Hi, everybody. Wow, look at you guys.
Oh, the oddly normal one.
The
I know
oddly
him.
normal one.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to watch or if you want to interact with chat at all, you can just go to my Twitch if you want, but no worries. Okay. Here, I'm going to cue up the music, and we're ready to do a show about things, about video game things specifically. So why don't we do that?
Awesome.
We're recording. All right, we're going to do it, and it is happening in 3. Oh, by the way, before I do that, Sky, since you can't hear the music, just wait for our cue. Sound good?
Okay.
All right, here we
Good.
go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Joystick and Mouse, video game news and reviews for all you filthy casuals out there. My name is Alex. I go by Cross in the gaming community. With me, as always, is Diddy.
Howdy, folks.
And with us today, because J-Dime's in class, we got Scott Johnson. Hello, sir.
Hey, welcome to me, and glad to be here.
Glad to have you here with us and being with us. Scott Johnson.
I'm excited to be here. I was going to try to be here last week, but then stuff came up, and then I guess Brian was here, so that's cool. You guys had Ibit around. That's awesome.
Yep.
And I'm glad to be back. It's good.
Able to get that shuffled around for you, and happy to have you here. We're here to talk about video games, something that's endearing to you, as you and I have talked about in the past, and some fun topics. Well, you know, if people don't know who you are, how would you introduce yourself to everybody at home?
My name is Scott Johnson, and well, if you look at what I do, it's a lot of podcasting and stuff that happens to also do a ton of games coverage. So I guess you could call me a games podcaster and content creator.
I like that. Wow. Very, very official. I like that
He
title.
hasn't rehearsed that at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Is that what it says on your business card? Do you have business cards?
I do, actually. I rarely use them, but I have a little stack of them and I take with me places just in case I need them.
I don't know where they were.
Yeah. It's kind of rare, though, because it's like an old school way of exchanging information that I'm not sure is long for this world, but yet I have a little stack just in case.
Yeah, just in case, just in case all this technology that we have fails us. But what we're going to talk about today is a fun conversation around some of the psychology around video games. We're going to take a deep dive into the gaming, into what psychology of gaming is today. Take a look at how we project ourselves into games. When we make a decision in a game, what is it that drives us to make that decision, and how does it affect us? Gamers will now also be able to experience the quote-unquote pleasure of building IKEA furniture, and Xbox Cloud Gaming is loose in the wild on this episode of Joystick and Mouse. Gentlemen, I want to point you guys to something here. In fact, I should have had this up. It's really weird. I've never gone viral. Have you guys gone viral before?
Depends on your definition of viral, and
like millions of views of something.
Yeah, I had a very early 2005 YouTube video that went quote unquote viral. I've had a pretty popular TikTok that was inexplicably went viral. I still don't know why. And what else? Occasionally like a tweet or something. I've had a few Reddit, like top page Reddit things happen, but all random, none of it planned. It's impossible to engineer.
Yeah, I talked about mine last week. My cat.
Yeah.
Put a fluffy cat in the internet and it'll go viral. But yes.
Yeah, it's really weird. I'm I put out a lot of content. I feel like I put out some pretty valuable content to my listeners. Stuff around like parenting, and then this great video game news stuff that I like to do. And then I make a video about some chick eating the rind of a pineapple and me being grossed out by it, and it gets 3.4 million views on frickin' Instagram. I found this video on TikTok, and I made a little duet of it. If you're watching live on Twitch or YouTube, like we watch her eat the fruit itself, and then she's enjoying it. Wow, it's so good. And then she just sticks the whole rind in her mouth and just keeps eating. And we're grossed out by it.
Yeah.
And people love that
Yeah.
shit.
I think you basically just described why it went viral. Sometimes it's a trick as to whose will go viral because everyone's doing stuff like this. But all it takes is one, and there's, then it's a runaway train. It doesn't usually translate to much. It's my biggest problem with virality is it's usually one-offs. It doesn't translate to really much of anything.
Yeah.
And channels who go viral will try to capitalize on that, but they typically end up being disappointed in the end because it's kind of hard to reproduce.
Yeah, and like I've been trying to just kind of continue to create stuff as I like normally would, and I'm seeing actually an uptick in the number of followers and stuff like that, but like it was just like that one little freaking spike and then nothing. It's just really funny, that's all. It's an interesting
it's
thing.
an odd thing. And people who chase it, more power to them. I think they're going to wear themselves out and burn out eventually, but you can't maintain it. So
bingo.
The best thing to do is if you get any kind of, you get a little leverage with it, great. If you can parlay that into something, great. But I think it's better to focus on what you love doing rather than the one thing that got you. Like, you don't want to pivot suddenly and go from like cool parenting advice on TikTok to, commentary on people's lemon or citrus fruit consumption overnight because one video went viral.
I don't know,
So
Scott, I could become
nobody.
a citrus connoisseur. I could make great videos about, wow, look at this orange and look how silly it looks. Something.
I am not doing a podcast on citrus.
You don't mean that, Diddy? You know that you would do a podcast with me about oranges?
Sure.
He might.
He might.
He might.
He might.
I mean, at the end of the day, we'd all do it for money. We'd do it for the money. But I'm just saying I don't think there's a lot of money in it. That's all.
I agree. No, I agree. Cheers to that. Diddy, you're going to the dark side of the ring. What ring and what do you mean by that?
Ring. A big ring, like a Halo ring.
Oh, tell me more.
A couple of weeks ago, Microsoft announced this Xbox console that is a Halo special edition. And I was like, ooh, I haven't had an Xbox in several iterations. So I decided I must go looking for one. And of course, I have my insider who has, I don't know what he does, but he made a deal for his soul or something to be able to get into Fuse. And he procured one of these.
Are you talking about J-Dimes?
Yes.
Okay. Our co-host on this show, in other words.
I don't know how J-Dimes does this. If there is something that goes up for sale and it's hard to get at, ask him. Because
he finds it.
He'll get one. It's amazing.
He's got some dark web business going on there. A little bit of trade a little Bitcoin for a little skin or whatever, and boom, you got your Xbox.
It's so easy though for him, Scott. He found like PS5s like in the wild.
PS5 was through him. I couldn't get one.
Wow.
So yeah, I've when they actually get released, which I believe is sometime in October, end of October-ish. I will be the proud owner of the Halo Special Edition Xbox.
Sweet.
Get the Series. It's only Series X that's the commemorative one, right? Or is there an S version of that thing?
There's only the X. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very, very pretty console.
Yeah. It looks really good. I like my Xbox Series X. I like both consoles. I haven't
I haven't had an Xbox,
but unlike you guys, I don't have anybody to hook me up on PS5s. But because I've had nothing but like brick wall on that search. But
we'll have J-Dimes look out for one for you. We'll ship it to you.
We will. I'll put him on the hunt, and if it comes up with one, we'll give you a ring.
He freaking finds it.
All right, you let me know. He sounds like he's got his methods, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I don't know. Some kind of voodoo. Scott, anything that you want to report on?
No, other than I've been playing a lot of games lately that people make fun of me for.
I don't get why.
And I'm okay with that.
We're going to talk about one of those, but like,
yeah, one of them in particular I'll kind of review later, but I'm really into these what I call chore core games, and I must not be the only one because they're coming out like crazy.
Yeah.
But it's things like Lawnmower Simulator and Shipbreaker and most recently gas station simulator, which is, don't picture one in your town, picture one out in the desert on Route 66, all beat up and not taken care of since the 60s kind of game. That's what this game is. And it's kind of all the rage at the moment, but I really like it a lot. And I don't know, I got a new one today called Potion Craft, comes out this week. Got it from the dev.
Ooh.
Another thing where I'm making potions and selling them to wizards and fighters and stuff. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm really drawn in by that stuff. There's something about those game loops. And so I play them a lot, and therefore I bring them up a lot, and then everybody makes fun of me a lot. So, whatever. I'm a huge fan of your mainstay, whatever huge video games coming out. Get on the AAA bus or whatever hot little indies out, whatever. But in the meantime, I'm building an awesome, shitty old gas station and making it work again. It's great.
It's really rad. I like those games too. And we're going to talk about Gas Station Simulator later. Gas Station Simulator later. That's a weird thing to say. We're gonna talk about that. But before we do have some fun news topics to jump into. So why don't we do that? Here's the sound. It's time for the news. And this is a topic that we brought up in Discord on Twitter. We had a bunch of fun replies that we're going to get to. But let's talk about the psychology of your character that you play in a video game. Game Central had an article where they interviewed psychologist and author Dr. Rachel Cowart and about why we make the choices we do in video games and why they're usually good ones. But are they typically good ones? The answer actually really is yes. Typically, these are like good. We desire to make good choices. We feel bad about hurting somebody, and even in a video game, it's really funny to see that. Like we carry so much weight with that, but psychologically, playing a game does that to us. But this was a really fun article, and there was the interview. They kind of outline some of the different topics that we're going to talk about. But first, I wanted to ask you guys if you're like me in that you always make the Paragon decision in a game like Mass Effect or something, because I just feel really bad sometimes about like hurting that lady who's trying to save her kid.
Right.
Do you guys feel bad about that, Scott?
I pick it every time. I Paragon every time. I can't do anything else. You may as well. I will admit to have been tempted a few times in like some weird RPG or whatever, like some top-down thing. Like I've been playing, not Kingmaker. What's the new one called? Crap, the new Pathfinder game. Oh, Wrath of the Righteous. It's called.
Oh, okay.
And it's like kind of Baldur's Gate-y in the kind of game that it is, which means lots of dialogue options that could go real south if I want them to. And I just can't bring myself to do it. Sometimes it seems like I'll even get a really interesting result if I do. And I know it's just polygons, and I know it's all just a construct, and I could explore my dark self or whatever in these games, but it's really hard for me. I can't do it. So I end up Paragoning everything pretty much.
And that's what they're saying is that that's a very common trait. But do you ever have the desire to go back and like do the was it Renegade? Is that the version?
Renegade is the opposite. Yeah, or at least in Mass Effect. Like other games have different names for it, but the answer to that is no, because it has something to do with my current time. My current schedule for games is basically, if I'm going to play you from start to finish, it very well may be true that I'll play in the entirety of you being a video game. But you ain't going to get me twice, especially not right away. So maybe 10 years later, you're like, hey, look at this. It's a enhanced edition of whatever it was. Then I might do it the other way. But even then, I think I'd still struggle because I'd have forgotten a lot, and the stories are, coming back kind of fresh, and I'd still probably struggle with it. But yeah, these people that can turn around and play a game again, like the day after they beat it, I don't know where they get their time.
I don't know either. Like the third day that game is out, they're like, hey, I played through this 5 times now. What?
Yeah. It's insanity. I mean, I'm more power to you.
Yeah.
No complaints. But
for real. Diddy, what about you?
This is really interesting. This question is really interesting. So when I start a video game, I sort of decide what I'm going to be for the video game. So like one of the ones recently was Red Dead Redemption. When I started that, I said, I'm gonna be a dick the whole time. It doesn't matter what I do, I'm gonna pick the asshole way to do it. And I did. And it was a blast. It was so much fun to just to not care, to just do it. Shoot the guy in the back. I just and take his money. I just didn't care.
But was it like difficult? Like, did you actually like wrestle with like, your demons or anything?
In the beginning, you're like, oh, I should let her go. No, I'm going to shoot her anyways. And you sort of have to make yourself do it. But once you get into it, it's sort of fun. It's just sort of, you can't be like this in real life. You can't walk around being like this. But doing it in a video game was great. It was a lot of fun. I know I love Fallout. Fallout 4, when I started it, I took that tack too. I'm going to be a jerk the whole time and play just for me. And I've played through like all the DLCs and stuff like that too, just being a complete jerk and screwing everybody over. And it's fun, but there are other games where, like Mass Effect, where I played the goody two shoes. It's interesting. I don't think I ever play in between though. I either play good or I play bad.
Interesting.
I don't really think I play in the middle, where sometimes I make one decision, sometimes I make another decision. But I definitely put myself in the character that I'm playing. I put myself in that situation and I'm saying, if I'm being the heel, what am I gonna do in this situation? And do that. And it just makes it fun, just to take a different tact on things.
That's interesting. And the other piece to this that they talk about in this article that I thought was actually really interesting was a shift in the context of not just the Paragon versus Renegade complex, but also like gender role, sexuality, disability, like things like that people like, how do people project themselves into the game where, I think that there's a lot of desire from companies and gamers, and when I say companies, like people making the games, developers, let's say, to create a little bit more inclusive environment around gaming. And we're starting to see that with a huge surge of games where you can play as a female, for instance. And people, including myself, I really enjoy playing from a different perspective in that narrative regard, not necessarily on like choices I make, whether they're good or bad, but I actually embrace the opportunity to play as Lara Croft and experiencing everything that she's going through. Games like, oh God, guys, I'm blanking on it. It's that Xbox Game Pass game where you're playing as the twins and one of them has like supernatural powers, or both of them have supernatural powers. And one of them is trans. Oh my gosh, what is the name of the game? You know what I'm talking about?
Recent-ish,
yes.
Couple of years.
Brothers.
Oh, chat. What is it?
Brothers.
What is it?
Tell.
So that's an interesting thing. When I think when I play as a female character, I find it much harder to be bad. Is that weird?
I don't think that's weird. I don't think that's weird.
Tell me why.
I think that
I don't know why.
Yeah.
No. Tell me why is the game.
Tell me why is the game. That's the easiest title to say and have the context get totally effed up because nobody knows.
Yeah, tell me why was
tell me.
It's a fun game where you can, like, and they kind of touch on some of that transition and everything for that one character. Anyway, I actually really embrace that. Scott, do you feel like you've had any of those situations in games?
Yeah, definitely. I will try. Like when it comes to character, I'm a giant RPG nerd, so I'll play pretty much any RPG ever and at least give it a shot. And I like character creation, and I like messing around with core stats, and not just magical ones, but ones like, my character might be a little bit chaotic and a little nutty and a little weird and kind of hard for the rest of the team to take, even in D&D. But at the end of the day, in those situations where something comes up where a big moral choice has to be made. I find it just impossible. Sometimes I have to go against character and just not do what the weirdo would do. And I don't know what that is or what that says. Because I know it isn't real, and I know that I'm not going to like have, you know, deep feelings of guilt forever after I make whatever dumb choice in a video game I'm going to make. But while I'm in the midst of it, it just feels right to say, well, yeah, I want to help these people escape this village, instead of I'd like to burn it all down and who cares what the effects are. For whatever reason, it's just I feel prompted that other direction, and I go that way. Just can't help it.
Yeah, interesting.
And I don't, you know, again, I like, now if the game is all like you're just a bad actor, not in the actor sense, but you know what I mean, like somebody who's supposed to be an agent of chaos and wrecking things and ruining things, and it's just part of the story and there aren't choices, you're just sort of whatever you
Along
are.
for the ride. Right.
That's fine. I don't have a problem with that, because I'm basically just, you know, adhering to whatever narrative somebody's designed for me, and I think there's value in that as well. But if you're going to give me a game with choice, and the game is designed around choice, whatever that game may be, and there's a lot of examples like that, then I typically err on the side of like, what would the good guy do? Even in things like, we were talking about this recently on something. I don't remember what it was. Oh, we were talking about warning labels and stuff on the instance, and whether or not we should adhere to those things. And we talked about that level, the airport level in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, where you're with a bunch of terrorists and you kind of have a choice. Well, the game literally tells you before you start the game, if you don't want to do that, you can skip it. But if you go through it, the choice is you can shoot other innocent people like everyone else is to keep your cover, or you can shoot nobody and basically blow your cover, or you can shoot a bunch of objects around the room or around the airport so it looks like you're participating. But do you feel like you're tacitly approving of what's happening? Is the mission more important than these people's lives? Like, real moral ambiguity was introduced in that scene, and a lot of people just thought that was, I don't know, they took a lot of heat for that, but I always admired it, because I just thought,
I did too.
This is the first time in a video game where I've got a real serious moral quandary here. And what do I do? What am I allowed to do in this context? Like, there's a lot there. And I think as games get more advanced and they continually keep doing that, better AI, better scenarios, better whatever, we're going to get to a point where our decisions matter in much more meaningful and long-lasting ways in the context of the game. And it won't be just as simple as I decided to shoot him versus I didn't, but mostly everything's the same. It will be, you decided to shoot him, and this now is a totally different video game, and you're going to have to play it because that's the choice you made. Like, we are increasingly getting closer to that. And when we do, it's going to be the same problem for me. I can't choose to be a jerk.
You're never going to know.
Even like me
what it. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's not even me going, oh, I'd never be a jerk. If I'm not one in real life, look at me. That's not what I'm even saying. It fills me with like,
yeah.
Well, I can't do this thing that they want me to do, or that I shouldn't do, or whatever, and I just don't.
It's a gross feeling.
Here's another, the Telltale games, The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
There are moral choices in that game that are just brutal.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've actually, that's one game that I've played through twice, and played it opposite ways both times through.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did it? I mean, was it palpable? Like, did the difference make itself known to you, or was it just sort of like, different choice, same deal?
Oh, it definitely makes itself known to you. Yeah. There are encounters that you have later on in the game that go a different way if you make choices.
There was one of those choices in that game was like dealing with a baby. You remember that? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? And I don't remember the specifics, but I remember being real sick to my stomach when I got there.
Well, there's another one to save one person over another.
Yeah.
And what you do.
I get real like effed up, especially if there's like kids involved in making those decisions. It's like, protect the baby immediately.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's rare, right? Video games don't usually put kids in danger. But like that airport scene was freaky because there were kids and family, all that. That's just made it harder. If it was just a bunch of brutish looking freaking army dudes, who cares? And we've seen that a million times. Let's go. But I don't know. There's something else.
I think it's also just like the fact that you don't ever see that sort of stuff in those games that makes it especially impactful. It's a tough situation. The other piece that I wanted to touch on here was around some of our feedback for I asked on Twitter, you know, like, what do you choose? Like when you're given the opportunity to make some of these choices, and we got a whole bunch of folks, and I would say that a majority of everybody is like, oh, I got to follow the rules. I got to be good. And, you know, they project themselves in their own choices of what they would make in a real world situation into what they would do in the game. Rishi B, who was on ANTP with us, says, I usually follow the lawful good path. I think that that's because long ago I watched a game morally ambiguous friend play Fable, and he was doing all the opposite. And in that game, your character grew horns when you did that. That horn symbology always stuck with me.
Yeah.
Another one where I was evil, or no, because I wanted the horns.
You just wanted the horns.
Well, and that's interesting because there's a cosmetic driver there, right? Like even if you don't want to go the evil route, you kind of want horns because horns are cool. But I always appreciated that game did that. I think it's the hard part is rewarding you one direction or the other, and I think games kind of have struggled with this because in some ways, if you're going to give cool horns to the evil guy in Fable, you best make sure the good choices are giving something that's just equally as cool. And sadly, things like, you know, wings or something is not as cool, or just, you know, angelic features on this face is not as cool as horns.
It doesn't look as cool, for sure.
How do you pay that off? Like, that's tricky. That's hard. And cosmetics matter in a game. How you look in the game matters. So if you're going to tie those two things together, I think it takes a deft hand, and I don't think that's very easy.
And, you know, I'm thinking back to my days playing Star Wars The Old Republic, when you'd make a lot of evil side, like the dark side choices, your character would start getting like veins around his eyes, and they'd start turning yellow and looking real evil. And that, to me, I thought that was cool. And I made bad choices on, now that I'm thinking about it, I made like the evil choices on my Sith character. I would never do that on a Jedi because I'm purist.
No, never.
So I did that, and I got my evil eyes. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I agree. The cosmetic piece is important there.
It's hard. Or if you're going to give some other reward, fine. But the rewards have to be, you have to really balance those. What was the Insomniac, or not Insomniac game? The guys who made
wasn't it like,
what am I thinking of? Electric Dude.
Yeah, that was Insomniac, I thought.
Was it? I thought it was maybe the guys that made Sakura. I could be wrong.
I'm really bad with video game names.
Whoever that is.
Yeah.
Anyway, that thing.
Infamous. Thank you, Travis.
Infamous. Gosh dang it.
Oh,
Infamous had a good bad choice thing, and it was, whether it was all that useful in the end, I don't know, but it had some cosmetic changes. Like your electricity was all red, you know, if you were going full Sith in that, and if you were not, it would turn this really brilliant kind of blue-white, which was also cool. So I think they did a really good job in that game, and I would play a new one of those tomorrow. I don't know why they're not making more of those. That could rock.
Dude, they have to. Yeah. Well, they're too busy making Wolverine and Spider-Man games is what they're doing.
Yeah. I think, are we sure that's them? I swear that's the Sakura people. I could be wrong. Gosh dang it. They made the Sly Cooper games, right? The Infamous people. Remembering this wrong?
Oh, there's Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch. That's it. I was right. Sly Cooper and the Sakura new game. Yep. Legends of the Japanese awesome background game that's out.
Yes.
Whose name I can't remember.
Gosh. Yes, Sly. Wow. Look at
Tears of Tsushima.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima.
There it goes. Tears.
Tears, Ghost. Same difference.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I still need to play that, but someone needs to get me a PS5 before I play it.
It's really pretty. It's really good.
Yeah.
We have a whole bunch of other responses here. Let's give some quick shout outs. At Joe Uncool, I usually end up going with my conscience, then I play it again, declaring that I'm going to be a total jerk or bad guy, and start sliding down the slippery slope of being generally good. That's my problem too. I do the same thing. Some NPCs you just can't screw over. Yeah.
I've tried starting out like that, but it never works out.
Yeah, you feel bad about it. Brain Goo says always the good path. Heck, most of GTA makes me feel dirty for having played it. Yeah, he doesn't like doing any of the dirty stuff. TMS mashups. My friend Jamie says he says I always choose the morally right option, even though it's just a game. I never choose the I'm an asshole rah option, as he says. I always feel like the game will judge me, and I don't want I won't get the outcome I desire.
Great.
That's a great response.
Yeah. Jeremy says it depends on the game and the character. Yeah, so it depends on the game, exactly the context that you were talking about, Scott, where it just depends on, what you're doing.
Yeah.
What's the story? Kim says, not your wife, Kim, a different Kim, says, I used to always be good, but evil is fun. Yeah, Kim's one of those that's evil all the time. At Big Rig MMO says opposite as well. Steve H&H, this is the one that really stuck with me, guys. As he says, I always follow my conscience unless it's some RPG where I'm, you have to do the specific branch of the story. As an empath, I find it pretty darn difficult to hurt the NPC's feelings. As somebody who's very empathetic as well, like in that regard, I totally get it. I totally get that.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're all fake, but it still feels bad.
Yeah, it still feels bad.
Which is the point, right? Why else are they giving us?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Look, pull the camera back and go, well, why is this even in games? Why is this even a thing? Well, this is why. It's to fiddle around with our sensibilities and our allegiances and our feelings of sympathy and this sort of stuff. That's the point of it.
Yeah.
So I guess it's succeeding. Even when we pull the bad triggers, at the very least, it's people knowingly doing that, and that's somehow part of the psychology of this. So yeah.
Well, we had more in Discord. Quick shout outs to Norm, Cyrenex, Nismaru, Audie, TV's Travis. They had some good discussions. A lot of it around like D&D, kind of what you were talking about before, Scott. Like if you can like really jump into the psyche of the character that you're playing and do the bad deed in that regard, like that might make it a little bit more justifiable.
D&D's a whole different boat though. You're supposed to take on the persona of the character.
Yeah. It's
because you're literally picking it, and your DM can get mad at you for going against your alignment. So so you actually kind of have rules you have to stick to. If you're going to go chaotic evil, you have to do it. You have to do it. You can't suddenly go, I've seen the light and I'd like to lick Paylor's feet at this point. You don't do that.
Commit to the bit.
To be fair, I don't think Paylor would want you licking his feet anyway. That's pretty gross.
Well, I don't know if Paylor even has feet. I don't know what he's got.
Whatever appendage is coming off of his leg or his torso. Gross.
Fletchy elephantitis down there is what he's got.
Just a mass.
Yeah.
Just a mass. Let us know if you have any thoughts on the psychology of video games. You can email joystickandmouse@gmail.com. Did he talk to us about this IKEA furniture?
All right. Holy Swedish meatballs, Batman. IKEA is releasing a full lineup of gaming furniture and accessories. They have partnered with Asus to come up with a ROG-inspired line of gaming offerings, including everything from desks and chairs to ring lights and phone holders. The big question is, though, will it come with scratch and sniff mouse pads and Swedish meatball scent?
God, I hope so.
God, I hope so. So they are expanding the greatest cause of marital discourse in the world to gamers, which is building IKEA furniture for the gaming community. But actually, this stuff looks pretty cool. It really does. It looks really nice.
It does.
Well, when you say ROG inspired, I think, aren't they working with Asus on this stuff? I think this is like they're working together. Yeah. Which is pretty cool. And look, I mean, if there's anything known about IKEA stuff, at least it's supposed to be, hence your marriage comment, but it's supposed to be easy, right? Just slap the stuff together. But more importantly, it's supposed to be cheaper, less expensive, we'll say, than alternatives. So you can furnish your whole house for a quarter of what you'd have to pay normally. And it's not always the highest quality stuff. But in this particular case, I think gamers we're finally in a place where we need this stuff to start getting a little cheaper.
Yeah.
Because it's all super high end right now, and everybody's gamer chair is too much money. And I'm telling you, there's a real opportunity here, which is, I think, obviously why they're doing it.
Yeah. The gaming desks will cost up to $600, while chairs will cost between $69 to $349. the mouse bungee. What is a mouse bungee?
What's this thing?
Bungie?
It holds your mouse cord so that it doesn't keep sliding back on the.
That's a great
I have one on my
idea.
desk.
Oh, what? That's great. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be $13. Cup holder will cost $10. I think this is a great opportunity. Like you said, that was going to be my comment. Like, it's a good opportunity to enter the market at the IKEA prices.
I have an IKEA desk as my gaming desk. This is actually, I have one as my work desk too. But when I went looking for a sit-stand desk, there was nobody even in the ballpark of what these desks cost.
Yeah,
not even close. So I've got two of them.
Yeah, they're awesome that way. I got a bunch of tables over here I use to stage stuff I have to ship and things, and it was by far and away the cheaper thing to do was to go over there and get them. And I want to say I spent like 10% of what I would have somewhere else. Like, there's a reason why people go there. It's just the real trick here is gamers may be in the mood for lower prices, but they're not necessarily in the mood for garbage. So these need to be built well. And I have no reason to think they won't be. And if they're working with Asus on not only design and whatever, one would assume that some of that durability they're known for will be there. So yeah, if you're going to give me a chair to put together and you're going to call it, Dupagleepus or whatever name they give these stupid things, give me your simple instructions, have it be sturdy, have it last long enough to, justify a $100 chair purchase. And I think they got something. I think they could really make an inroad here.
Yeah, if you can give me a comfortable chair for $100 compared to what the Secret Lab Titan XL costs.
I love this chair though.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Now, yeah, so don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm a racer, EX person. Alex is Secret Labs. My wife likes Secret Labs. They're nice chairs. If you can give me $150 chair that is as good a quality and is as comfortable.
Yeah. It's like, why not?
As $500 chair, they'll sell a lot of chairs.
It's a long story, but I'm sitting on a Herman Miller that is the long story why I even have one of these, and it's awesome, but it costs way too much freaking money.
Yep.
So I would be happy to replace this with something that didn't run me that, and if IKEA can do it, then why not them?
Is that your gaming chair and your pocket? Because I know your gaming rig is like right next to you.
Yeah, so the whole thing right now, the way I'm set up is it's a big standing desk, but it's a permanent one that I had custom built for me from, it's all made out of wood.
Nice.
And it's this big, beautiful oak thing. But it doesn't raise and lower, obviously, because, he's not going to do that. But it's a big L shape. So it's got tons of room. I've got 4 monitors on here, 2 Macs, a PC, a bunch of other stuff. And, the Herman Miller chair I got, the reason I got it was this is exactly the height I needed for this desk. And so I locked it in at that. And so now currently I'm doing everything on it. But I wouldn't mind a more gamer centric sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like support, just the way it would hold my butt. That would be cool. But I also need it to be taller. So what I would hope is IKEA does this with some of their existing furniture stuff. Good adjustable heights, let me be flexible with that sort of thing, and then I'll probably get something. But right now this is fine.
Yeah,
I've had it for like 10 years.
That's a good lifespan for a chair. Holy cow! So gaming chair creators out there who are listening, because I know like 500 of you do. I'm kidding. They if it can withstand Scott's keister there, you've got to buy it right there.
My sizable cushions that I was born with. Actually, I've got Hank Hill butt, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But
straight down.
But yeah, like I'm just thinking here, like how would this work? It would have to be high enough that. Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Like the standard size desk for people who got gaming chairs, they're going to be great. They're going to hook you up. They're going to have the right size for you. But I have to see how these things go. Yeah.
No, I hear you. But I think IKEA's got themselves a good strategy here. I'm very interested in it. Of course, this news comes out as soon as I ordered a desk. I ordered a 98-inch butcher's block slab sort of deal that I'm going to put on this wall right here behind me, and I'm redoing this whole studio. It's going to be different next week.
The great thing about that is, though, it's indestructible.
Yeah,
That
no, get it.
block you can put up there, and
Yeah.
it'll be there when the house falls down.
Yeah. You know, but I would have liked to see what this was all about. I did get the whole thing cheaper than what they're advertising on here, though, which is kind of interesting. So I don't know. We'll see.
That's
I'll
good.
report out. I'll report out and let you know. All right, Scott, let's move on to your story. How about you read us in?
Sure. Well, time is a limited thing. All right.
It is.
Every second that ticks away is one less second than you've got.
Well, beautiful.
This is nice and depressing. It's the single most important commodity in life, and it never seems to be enough of it. There are so many things every day that vie for our attention, and video games are just one of them. So let's talk about how we select these games, what games we give our time to, and how we can experience more games given the limited time we have.
Yeah.
I'll start.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Scott.
Okay, so let me tell you this. Alex, you're not in this position yet, but you will be one day.
Yeah.
All my kids are not little anymore. When they were little, time was weird because, you know, you got to take care of the kids. You got to be there. You got to do dad stuff and all that. So, you know, not every night was gamer night. These days, I can kind of play a little bit more than I used to. For me, it's variety, not just time for a game. So it's very rare that you'll see me get hooked on one game and play only that for months and months and months. Long gone are my like early World of Warcraft, early 2000s years where once you're hooked, that's all you did. These days, every week brings 8 to 10 new gaming experiences. A lot of those come to me in the form of codes or review codes or whatever from developers. And so there's just something new to play all the time. And in a lot of cases, that's just getting my feet wet and then getting out. Sometimes it's dedicate 2-3 hours to it. Sometimes it's an early access title that I keep checking in on, you know, throughout the year. But at the end of the day, it still can be tricky to find the time to dedicate to gaming. I think I have an advantage in being a variety gamer, and I don't mean like a variety streamer, but somebody who just likes a lot of genres and is willing to play just about anything, because I can kind of just have an itch and go, well, what's going to scratch this? Oh, that 20th thing down on my list of Steam games, that'll do it today. And I can just hop in and play that thing. And there's 2 hours gone. And I'm like, all right, it means I still got time to go hang out with Kim and help her with dinner and, you know, like try to balance that life game thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I feel pretty good about how it works for me. I think part of it is I never get so hooked on a thing that I can't leave it, you know. I can always leave it.
Good for you. Get a little guilt.
I don't know what advice that is for people. And there are people who are going to struggle more with that. Yeah. Like they just can't stop. And I feel for them because I don't know what that feels like, but you know, take some time out, do like Nintendo says, take off the Wii remotes and go outside for a while.
I feel like you might know a little bit about that and you might resonate with this because World of Warcraft is a game that I literally just play once a week for raid, and that's it. And that's strictly because of the people. We've talked about this ad nauseum on this show.
Right.
That's a game that's hard to walk away from, you know, after 15 plus years. And but it's become, you know, also there's a sense of like you don't want to walk away from it because of the gameplay and the people and all that sort of stuff too. But then there's also this sense, like you were talking about, this time suck that our kids, who would have thought? Why didn't anybody warn me that I would have 2 kids and I wouldn't have any time for it? I'm just kidding.
Oh, no, we warned you.
There was always the warning.
We warned you.
It just depends on your perspective. Like I love video games, but I love my kids more. And so
of course,
it was just an issue of anytime I could have them playing them with me, we'd do that.
Yeah.
Especially when they were little. And even now, they all get together more than I do to game. They're playing Overwatch tournaments almost every other weekend, and I'm cool. Usually not involved. So it's not, you know, they're finding time for stuff like that. And it depends on the game. They were into Valorant so hardcore for a while that it was impenetrable for me. I couldn't get in there, but they love that stuff. And, you know, part of that is because they were kind of raised in that environment. I have a daughter who at least once a week sends me a text going, hey, what do you know about such and such? She's really into these like small kind of management farmy games, kind of like, I don't know, Animal Crossing-ish type stuff.
Gotcha.
Stardew Valley, whatever, those sorts of things. And she'll ping me and go, hey, have you heard of this? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's got really light combat, but tons of like farm stuff. And I hear it's a kind of a grind, but you might like it. And, we're always having these back and forths. And what I realized from all of that is we spent just enough time gaming that this is now like just a normal part of our lives. It's not like some weird hobby that you only talk about in, certain friendships or whatever. It's like a out in the open part of our life. It's just like us saying, hey, remember that time we went to the mall? It's just as easy to say, remember that time we took down the Lich King? It's not that different in our house.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, it feels like time well spent, and not time that I should have dedicated to them. They were involved in it, so it was time for them and time for gaming, and everyone benefited.
Yeah. See, I want to get there.
So.
I definitely want to have that sort of experience with my kids too. Like Arya and I would sit upstairs playing Chrono Trigger on the little what is it, the cherry pie? What is it called? Retro Pie. That I have.
Retro Pie, yeah.
Yeah. And she loves watching me play that, and she goes, "Look at Chrono Trigger, mommy!" Like, and all this other stuff. So it's so cute, and she's getting into like how to move and stuff like that. And I love those experiences like with my kids, and it's so funny to see the shift in context because I don't know, 7 years ago, I was playing games pretty regularly, and the other piece of this conversation is the competitive aspect. And for me, like I enjoy a good solid, PvP experience. I like hopping in a first person shooter and getting first place and poning all the noobs, as we used to say. I am really not that good anymore. I don't know if it's because like I just don't have time to practice. Am I getting older? And my reflexes aren't what they used to be?
Yes.
I mean, back in the day, if you had sat my kids down and said, we're going to play some Quake, everybody get ready, some Quake, capture the flag or something, I would have owned them, owned their souls. And nowadays, if I'm playing Overwatch or something with them, competitive, Warzone, whatever, I just get worked. And part of it you just have to acknowledge, like, this generation is playing their Quake, and it's fine that you're not as good as they are.
Yeah.
But secondly, it's still good to play, get in there and have fun. But I'm not really like, everybody's like, hey, you getting into New World? How about that? Are you going to play that? And I keep saying, probably if it sustains itself as a good solo experience, I'll play it, because I don't have time for all the multiplayer stuff I used to do. That I don't have time for. So that's too much schedule syncing and dedicating time that I don't necessarily have already. And it's just hard. Once in a while I get something in and it's great, co-op usually, but I can't do the competitive stuff I used to do. And when I used to do it, I did it to death. So I've kind of had my time in there. Like Counter-Strike and Unreal Tournament and those games, they'll never be the same after I had my way with them. But we're past that now, and it's okay. Yeah. It's okay to be on the sidelines a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat as Scott. I mean, my kids are grown and out of the house, so I have a little more time to play games, but I'm definitely I've played WoW a long time, and it has a really special place for me because of all the things that happened in it. But it's sort of run its course now, and I'm definitely looking for other experiences. And I've been playing a lot of other games lately, and I log in once a week to go raiding, and that's about it.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm looking to spend a couple of hours in something. I've been playing Final Fantasy quite a bit, but I get partway into it and like, Jesus, this is a grind. I just, go do something else, and I'll go play. Like, I've really been enjoying Ratchet and Clank lately.
It's a great game.
Some other, little games. Even on the iPad, I've been, like playing some of those little merge games or something, just to, waste 20 minutes here or there. And I don't want to jump into something big.
Yeah. And maybe it's like, I feel like it might be a pipe dream for me where I like kind of miss the good old days where I used to be able to pwn all the noobs. I don't know. And there's, on one end, I miss that, but then I go into it and it's just, wow, this is stressful. Competitive gaming is stressful. And that's what this article talks about, is this sense of how, especially like when you get into our mode, like our parenting mode, where, you slow down and experience games a little differently. And we've talked about this in the past. Like, I totally embrace the whole easy story mode video game experience. It's great.
vast majority of games I would not be able to finish unless there was a easy mode or story mode, because I just wouldn't finish them.
Yeah. It's
'Cause
just
I
an
don't have the
interesting.
time. I don't have time to dedicate to be really good at it, to be good enough at it to overcome the really hard and challenging parts of it. I don't have
Yeah. I mean,
Twitch response
keep in
time,
mind too, like back in our day, everything was whatever the default was is what we had. And
Mhm.
so if we played a really hard game like some of the original PC XCOM stuff way back in the day, those games were like near impossible, but we did it. And why? Well, because we really liked the game. But I won't lie, if they'd have had a scale of difficulty, I would have taken a lower one because I want to have more fun than I do want to be frustrated.
Right.
And I think games that do that, I don't know why it's even an argument out there. And I know some people are like, well, you're a game baby if you can't do it on hard or whatever, or you need these extra modes. I'm like, well, all right, freaking eat a turd.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I want to play. Just because I want to play a game doesn't mean I want to be punished. That's why I don't play Souls-likes. I find them too punishing.
Yeah.
I'm glad they have their place, and I'm glad people love them. And I think it's an amazing like subsection of games, and they're really cool. There's some neat stuff happening in that world. But the only ones I'm caring about are the ones that come out and go, we're like a Souls-like, but we have lower difficulty, or we have we have save points that aren't 400 miles away from where you died, or these sorts of things. Like, I need those quality of life things for me to be engaged, or else I don't have time for you and I have to go somewhere else. I'm not into redoing stuff anymore.
Same.
Like, there are games I've dropped completely because I crashed and lost a half hour of progress. Half hour of progress may not seem like a lot, but to me it's like, well, I'm not going to go do it again. You already got me to do it once. I'm done with it again. Goodbye. I'm done with your game.
Dude, you guys were talking about it on Core. Bo was talking about Disco Elysium. That's a game where I literally lost like my entire game. I lost hours of gameplay in that game. And I was like, I can't, done. And it's so sad because it's a cool game.
Was it a lockup or something, or what happened?
Yeah, the game just crashed and something was corrupted, and I just couldn't get back into it. I was like, screw it. All right, done. I can't. And that's a heavy game. And when you have games that are like really heavy and difficult, luckily that's not a difficult game. It's more of just you're kind of experiencing it. But it's like
sometimes that builds memories, right? So like one of the reasons the Halo thing is important to me is because that's sort of the first game that my kids and I played together. And when my oldest son and I sat and we beat it on insane mode, is that what it was called?
Oh yeah, maybe
something like that.
Ridiculous mode.
They had a scale, yeah.
We sat for a weekend and played this game and beat it on the hardest level. That sort of builds some memories, but like I couldn't play it nowadays on that level.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's not that you couldn't, it's that you don't have
I don't have the time to be good enough at
right.
it at that
That
level.
and that's the deal, right? Like you could spend if I had all this time to spend in freaking Call of Duty Warzone, I could go in there and get battle royale wins and victories all day. But man, I'm getting tired and slow because I'm just not sleeping because of kids. Like I can't, and that's okay though. You're right. I've come to terms with it. I miss it, and that's part of this is that I kind of miss it. But at the same time, I look at where I'm at today, and I'm like, things are better now. It's a valid.
Yeah, we also live in a time of embarrassment of riches, like the fact that platforms like Steam exist, and I've got, I don't know, 20, a lot of these are giveaways, but I have like 2,200 games in my library or some ridiculous thing. I'll never play them all. And there's new games every day, and there's stuff on my Switch, and there's stuff on my consoles, and Game Pass alone is like this disgusting value. And not to mention all the other periphery entertainment choices that we have these days with streaming services and everything else. It's crazy this time we live in. It's insane.
That's a really good point.
And here we are, talking over across the country, piping it to 2 different streaming services in HD. Like, how are we even? There's nothing to complain about.
Nothing.
And so what I say to everybody is, look, if you've got time to game the way you want to game, freaking more power to you. At the end of the day, I'm glad there are choices that match my schedule more, and I am happy for that.
And that is a beautiful segue into our full stream ahead topic. That sound that you just heard, that cruise ship horn, means one thing. It's time for full stream ahead. Diddy, what we got this week?
So this has been in beta for a while, but this week Microsoft released the xCloud gaming to the masses. It's really cool. It works well. It fired right up in the app without a problem. But the one thing that I didn't realize it had, and I don't know if the Xbox has always had this, but it has the ability to stream your Xbox to your PC. So
That
you
has
can put your PC and play. I know that PlayStation has had this for a long time, PS Play, because I use this to do streaming for the PlayStation. But I didn't know that Xbox had this or has had it in the past. But I haven't had a chance to try it out until I get the new Xbox. But this would be a really, really nice feature to be able to use my Xbox on any device in the house.
Yeah.
Like if I want to go to the living room or something and play, I can do it there. Oh, that'd be really nice.
I think that well, that definitely existed for Xbox One. Because
it's always been a thing. I think even before PlayStation did it, they had it, but it wasn't always great. It's better than it's ever been, for sure, and it works really, really well. The nice thing is you're gonna start to just blur all those lines, so it's back and forth and everywhere else, and it's on your phone, it's on your browser, it's on a crappy old laptop. It won't matter where you're playing your xCloud games. It'll all sort of feel like you're just playing out of the same ecosystem, which I think is their whole point.
Yeah.
I think the last Xbox I had was the 360.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you didn't have Xbox One. I know Xbox One definitely had it, but like, I don't know if you've tried this with the Xbox Series X, Scott, but like, have you tried streaming that to your PC, to your gaming PC? Because that doesn't seem to work.
Streaming my Series X to my PC,
yeah,
that does work. It's the other way around. I can't go. So if I wanted to stream to my Xbox, or as far as I know, and maybe this is part of today's announcement, but I don't think you can. The original plan was xCloud was everywhere, and it would include the Xbox itself, so you'd be able to fire that thing up and go, I want to play this, old EA game that's in this library, but it's through xCloud via the console. If that's happening today, that's good news, because up till now you haven't been able to even do that in beta. But yeah, the console to PC, no issues with my Series X. That works great. PC to console, as far as I know, doesn't even exist.
Yeah, I don't think that exists. I was thinking the other way around hasn't worked for me, which is what's weird.
Oh, really?
I'll have to look.
No issues here, and I'm just doing Wi-Fi, and it's working. I get like almost no latency. It's working great.
It had to do specifically with the old Xbox app. There was some kind of an app that I was using. Maybe I have to download like a new app or something to use the Series X. I don't know. I have to figure it out. But it doesn't really matter anyway, because guess what? I just download the freaking the Xbox Cloud thing anyway, and I can just do it like that. It's fine.
Yeah, you can just play it on a browser. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I wonder if you get a better experience streaming your Xbox to your PC or doing it cloud-wise.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, if you're running it via an actual network cable, so your 10 base T cable or something, absolutely it'll be better.
Yeah.
Just latency wise. But it's still pretty playable even on Wi-Fi. Like, I was surprised how good it was.
Me too.
It's certainly better than just xCloud. For me anyway. I have during the beta anyway, and I'll need to check things now that things are out of beta, but during the beta I had a good amount of input latency, and more than I expected, and I was getting less on other services. Stadia wasn't great either, but it was a little better. Luna was fine, and NVIDIA GeForce Now was exceptionally good on latency. And so I was like, what is the difference? And a lot of people suggested, well, sometimes you just have a bummer hop in terms of where you're located and where those data centers are. So it's entirely possible the extra latency I'm getting is just because of distance or where servers are and where they cross, what part of the backbone they're on. There's like all these reasons, but at the end of the day, whoever masters that, like whoever gets that down to like 0 latency, freaking game on, man. Like it changes everything.
It's going to be a combination of who owns the service and the internet, and that answer should be Google, but I don't know
won't
that
be.
that's going to be the
It won't
answer because they're
It
not
won't
doing
be.
a
I
good job.
don't even think Stadia. And look, and I'm not even anti-Stadia. I think Stadia is actually very cool. I don't think
I do too.
Google's got this. I don't think Google's got the stay with it power that they never do. They never stick with stuff.
Yep.
And it's not even like I'm not even like a tainted anti-Google person at all. I just know from experience that they make stuff and they go, didn't really work. It's not a part of their bottom line. Like, why would they care?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'd rather. I think even now they would rather Stadia be a really cool tech demo so that others would use them for their back end and pay them. Like right now, Sony uses Microsoft for PlayStation Now. They use Azure, the same tech that powers xCloud, because Sony doesn't have the infrastructure. Others use Amazon. Others, you know, there's maybe a couple other players out there, but really the big players are Microsoft, Azure, and Amazon AWS. And without those two big players, you really don't have that business. So if I were Google, and I think that's what they're doing, you make Stadia look really good, but you're not actually trying to sell Stadia. You're trying to sell the idea that people should white box your service for their cool streaming game service or whatever other technology they want to stream and use Google. I think that's what the play is. The play is to compete with these other behemoths and not necessarily in gaming.
I would agree. I think that in the only situation where Microsoft will truly get beat as like kind of the fit all for anybody, for any consumer, is if some of these other companies kind of come together and leverage each other's expertise. I doubt this will happen, by the way, but I'm just saying, kind of pie in the sky, that they would have to all kind of come together and say, with PlayStation's, you know, exclusive game library and, you know, perhaps Google's cloud or even Amazon's cloud, like there could be some really cool stuff that happens, and even perhaps GeForce Now with their infrastructure, right? Like, and their what they have from a hardware perspective, like that's kind of winning combinations. But then you got like everybody and their mother kind of dipping into that bowl, whereas Microsoft's kind of the full picture by themselves.
Yeah, it feels like Microsoft's got the best strategy, given they can kind of cover all ends of this thing and still be a traditional console experience if that's what people want. So they're kind of just they've got the baseline all the way up to the top. That puts them in a really good position. In Sony's case, it would be a huge win if Sony suddenly came out tomorrow and said, we're merging with Stadia or we're whatever the deal is, but they're basically going to become, you know, they need an answer to Game Pass is what I'm getting at. They don't have one right now, and they don't really have a good answer for xCloud. PlayStation Now's okay at best. It's not great. So Sony's strength is still their exclusives, still giant AAA single player experiences. And that's a strength. It still is a strength, despite what others detractors may say it's worse than it is, but it's actually still a strength for them, but not for long. They have to get on board in a way that gets them ready for this next wave. And that next wave is very much cloud-based and very much based on services and services like Game Pass, where people get a lot of stuff for very little money. And if they don't have an answer for that, they will not be long for the console world. They really won't. I think they will have an answer for it, and they'll get around to doing it. And the strength of their first-party titles will help carry that through. But they got to get on it, because in Microsoft's case, their weakness has been first-party throughput, and they're changing that. Yeah. We're not seeing the exact result yet, but that's about to change in a massive way. And when that does, I'm just worried Sony's going to be caught on the back foot. So I really want them to do something. I don't know what it is. They got to partner with somebody. They got to make some big deal, and it has to be seamless and no 2-year beta. Like, they got to get on it.
Yeah.
And have some kind of that's equivalent. And then you're talking about some real parity in the console wars in terms of services, because that's the future. Whether they want it to be or not, that is the future.
Yep. Well said.
Yeah. I always thought that GeForce Now had the best technical implementation right now of cloud gaming, and Sony has the best games. And I always thought that would be a great marriage. But when you look at it behind the scenes, GeForce Now is using AWS, and I believe that Sony's using Azure. And I don't know how you reconcile that difference. without a major.
Well, you could. I mean, I don't know what their contracts look like, but
That's what I was
Sony
gonna say.
could cozy up with Amazon even more, or dump Azure altogether and cozy up with Amazon, and then you're basically getting the back end of GeForce Now. That's why I don't think GeForce Now would even be a player here, because they'll continue to have their cool service. There's nothing wrong with GeForce Now.
Right.
I love it. But it's not going to, they don't hold any particular leverage that any of the console giants are interested in, because they're just on the back end of Amazon, like anyone else could be if they wanted to go direct. So my guess is, if that happened, it would be Sony going direct, ending their relationship with Microsoft for back end. Honestly, if you ask me, Scott, $10 says what? I'd say that. I think that's what happens. I think that is in the future. And it's either Google or it's Amazon. And I lean toward Amazon because Amazon's further down the road with stuff.
Yep.
More established, more money, honestly, than any other option for them. And Sony doesn't have those pockets. As much as Sony's got a lot of money, Sony's entire business hangs on PlayStation.
Yes.
And hangs on their strategy for PlayStation. And it used to be Sony or PlayStation was only part of the bigger picture. It was part of a ton of DVD player sales and TV sales and everything else. And they still got all their electronics divisions, but they're dwarfed compared to that. Microsoft's got money to waste for years and years and years.
So much money.
Like,
yep.
It's a good thing they actually seem to really care about it right now, because I was starting to worry in the last generation if they did. But they don't lose anything by going $8 billion for Bethesda. No problem. That's change we found in the back seat of my car. Like, it's just not a big deal to them.
Insane.
Microsoft or Sony literally can't do a purchase like that. They can't. They don't have the cash.
They can't. Yeah.
They can't.
So I wonder if there's like some other third party, some other player that comes into somebody like a Tencent or somebody like that decides we're into this, and they've got money out the wazoo.
And they've been secretly
like
kind of.
You mentioned Tencent, but like Alibaba, which is basically the size of 10 Amazons or something. They're getting way, way, way more into cloud computing stuff. They handled all the streams and stuff for the Olympics, and I don't just mean a solid stream. I mean, like, if you were an affiliate in some country, any country, and you were looking for footage of the dumbest sport that was being shown at any given time during the Olympics, they had a direct feed. They had a system where you could go in real time, like chop, 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 chop. Okay, here's our piece, run it. Like, they had a crazy cloud setup. It was a big test for them. Really rad how that all went. And they are a legitimate threat to all of this. And then it's all complicated because it's China, and China's got their own rules, and there's all that shit to deal with. But at the end of the day, there's no denying that the biggest competition will probably come out of there in terms of back end. Now, would Sony, a very fervently Japanese company, align themselves with a very fervently Chinese company? That would be a stretch.
That would be,
but you're not wrong to bring it up. Yeah, I think there's something there.
But you're right. I mean, Sony, and we talk about that a lot on the show. It's like Sony has to do something, and I would be very curious, back to the contract piece, seeing what their contract looks like with something like Azure. First of all, from an exclusivity perspective, now and in the future, and then when that contract is up, what does that look like for the future of the platform, and any clauses in there that might, claim stake on something, So I don't know. A lot of good stuff to look forward to in the cloud market. Glad to see xCloud is really kind of taking off now. I would recommend people try it out. It's super cool, especially if you have Game Pass Ultimate. I think you get it for free. So definitely worth a shot.
Oh, yeah, it's totally free. In fact, any of the Game Pass levels get you xCloud for whatever level that covers. So if it's PC games that are exclusive to PC, not console also, if you have Ultimate, you'll get either or for the streaming. But I think if you have the separate Game Pass PC only or Game Pass console only, then you have access to xCloud of whatever that entails.
Right.
Wherever you are on your phone or whatever.
Yeah. Audie in chat says that it didn't work too well on the iPad. So, yeah, it could be a number of reasons for that. Kind of like what we talked about earlier. Like, just depends on where you are, and where you're streaming
on my
from
iPad.
to...
No, I had a pretty good experience with it. With what was the game? Dirt 5 ran really well. I was surprised by that because it's a
Wow.
racing game. A lot
Yeah, I
of
was about to say.
there, yeah.
Yeah, very
That did
cool.
all right. But I'll tell you what, if you're trying to eliminate lag and you have an iPhone and you want to do something more than a wired controller, this Backbone thing I got, it's not down here, it's upstairs.
Oh, I got that. It's great.
It's great.
Yeah.
And it's wired basically because the way it plugs in. So you're not dealing with extra latency that wireless brings no matter what you're doing. And so if there's any latency at all, it's still just on the service side, and you cut out half. In effect, you cut out half the wireless latency by using that thing, and it made a giant difference for me with games. It's really good.
Yeah,
really that thing. I wish Android had something like it. I think they do with the Razer or somebody like that makes something that's okay.
Oh, really?
The key sheet.
Yeah, Razer makes one that it goes on top. Doesn't go
oh, yeah. We've doesn't it look kind of like a switch? Like once you're kind of all said and done, it's like a little thing that kind of clips on
the Backbone that looks like that, right?
Oh, but that's what I was
kind of.
Switch.
The Backbone like treats it.
Looks like an Xbox controller, but the phone sits on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that. But there's one that's even the problem. See, the problem is, and everyone's like, why can't they make it for my Android phone? It's because every phone has got a different form factor, and it's. I'm not saying this is bad. It's good. And you got all these choices with Android manufacturers. If you got an LG or a freaking Samsung or a million other makes, great. But they're all different bodies and styles and standards and different connector types and everything else. And so you can't make one size fits all. Whereas with an iPhone, it's one brand, one model, and at least for the current run, it'll fit.
Yeah, that's right.
Who knows? The 14s come out or whatever. I confirmed that the new 13s that just got announced do fit. They're fine, no problems. The next year's, though, if they do go to USB-C, for example, and drop Lightning, you're screwed because your Backbone won't work there. You got to buy a new one.
Yep.
But I probably will. That's a great accessory, and I really like it.
If you're heavy into that sort of stuff, an investment like that's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like it.
Scott, like we like to do at the end of the show is review a game, and you brought a game. Hold on, I'm going to play the sound for our friends at home.
The reviews were so mixed. I'm surprised.
What is this game? What's this deal? You're managing a gas station? What is going on?
So the scenario is the game starts and you're in some crap car, first person view, and you're driving in the desert on some highway. All right. It's old. Everything looks like the road's all cracky and horrible. Kind of Mad Maxy, if I'm honest, which probably helps in my case because I love that stuff. But I'm driving down the road and suddenly off to the left is a old gas station, and it's abandoned and gnarly, and everything looks like crap. The paint's all faded and cracked, and the pump clearly doesn't work, and there's dirt and debris and garbage everywhere and all this sort of stuff. But it says it's for sale. And so the way this game starts is you turn into there and you make an offer and they accept it. And now you own this shitty old gas station on an old Route 66 stretch. For those outside of the country, that's a historic run of Western Highway. And in the 50s and 60s was just this glorious time of mythology around taking Route 66 and stuff like that.
Cross country.
Anyway, out in the middle of the desert, way off in the distance, you can see the faint shimmering, sort of like Vegas off in the distance looking city. You never go there, but you can see it. And there's a day-night cycle, so you see it at night sometimes more, and in the day it's super hot and all this. Anyway, it's a desert, and you're out there in the middle of nowhere trying to make your gas station not only run but make it better all the time. So when people travel through, they get gas there, they buy crap from inside your store, and then you check them out and they leave, and you've made money, and you hire employees eventually. You get a bigger warehouse to store products, bigger displays. You paint the interior. There's cleaning mechanics because the people mess up the floor all the time. You got what else? You can start selling cigarettes and beer. A kid named Purvis, or I can't remember his name, but some local kid comes running around and paints big penises on your wall outside with a spray paint. He's like graffiti guy, and you either got to go try to hit him with something, like pick up a rock and hit him to get him to leave, or once he leaves on his own, you got to go out and repaint over the penis, or else your popularity drops. It's just a big weird management sim. It gets really weird though. Like there are times in this thing, everything's a mini game. So pumping gas into somebody's car kind of has a mini game mechanic. Super simple stuff. It's not anything complicated. Changing tires in the little garage that's next door, super simple. But it, just these menial tasks that you have to do to get money. The people are just freaking weird. They stare at you funny. The game's full of jank, but in a kind of in a way that I really like. When you put a park bench out in front of the place or a bus stop, I didn't know what was going to happen. This meant, I'll get some walk-in traffic from some tourists or whatever. This bus fills up and there's like techno in there going do 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 do, and there's purple lights flashing in the bus. Like, what the frick is this? And out of this thing comes a string of like 20 people in like alien and dragon cosplay, and they're just dancing, like doing raise the roof as they walk toward your thing, and they go inside, mess the place up, leave trash everywhere, but they all buy a ton of stuff, so you gotta like check them out fast, and it's like this huge boost, like a rush hour kind of thing. And then they leave and they raise the roof, dance back out to the van or to the bus and leave. I'll put some video up later this week on Twitter. It's the weirdest ass thing. But the loop is good. It's really good. You run out of gas. Guy that looks like Elon Musk drives a gas truck out there and fills it up.
He really looks like Elon. It's weird, dude.
Yeah, it's really weird.
He really does.
It's really odd. And there's other, just weird things with the characterizations and stuff. And the customers are they're all weird. Everybody's a little freaky and odd, and they stare at you funny. And the game is just like, you have these employees that live in a trailer park behind the place. And you go over there and you pay them to do a job for that day, and you got to pay them by the end of the day, and they'll go do checkout for you. But she never says anything to you. It's just creepy. It's just weird. There's bathrooms. People pay $1.50 to use your bathrooms, and they leave messes in there. You got to go clean those up. And there's always trash. You can call the trash guy around to come pick up all the trash eventually. And you just get in this loop, and you can be open 24 hours if you really want to run around like an idiot and just, but eventually you're hiring people to clean. You hire that lady to run this. You hire that guy to run your register. You hire a dude to work in the little garage that fixes up people's cars. Like, you can assign these jobs out and pay these people. And I'm not to the point where I can do any more than one employee right now. I've only played about 10 hours worth, but it's good, man. It's one of those stupid chorecore games, and it's got me by the neck. I love it. And even though it's kind of broken in a lot of ways, it's very endearing, and I'm proud to be the owner of a hot new gas station out on Route 66. So look for me.
Well, if people are watching on Twitch right now, you just watched him cleaning up the bathroom, picking up a turd and throwing it in the frickin'
yeah, there's poops on the floor sometimes. There was a snake in the main store.
Yeah, I saw that too.
The patch note, they took it out in the patch notes because or in a hot fix, because there were people complaining of whatever the phobia about snakes is.
Oh, for real? Dude, that's really funny.
Yeah, so they're gonna put it back in, but they're gonna do like they did with that Grounded game. Or what's that called? One out where they're out in the yard and the spiders are too scary. So you can turn them into like amorphous blobs or whatever. They'll do that with a snake.
Chad, look at this freaking truck. The truck that had the garage door go down on it, and it's like spazzing out.
Oh yeah, they got rid of that glitch, but it was a good one while it lasted.
That's so fun.
And they have this huge button out front that you can push. It's a big red button. It resets all vehicles and customers. So if you ever it's like the game knew that you were going to maybe have a problem like that. So if something gets stuck, or a customer's, won't leave, or whatever the glitch is, you go push this button, and a flying saucer comes and like does Men in Black style, just flashes the whole area as if our minds are being erased. And then all those cars and all that stuff get reset, including that truck. It just leaves the garage. So you're back to normal. But it's just a trip, man. I like all those kind of games. And for some reason, this one's really under my skin. I played that way too late the other night.
Oh,
it's
man.
very good.
It looks like so much fun.
I'll give it an early. Here's my score. I'll give it an early 8 out of 10. I think this game's 9 worthy if they can fix some of their bugs.
Yeah, all right.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty affordable on. It's actually on sale right now with like the early, because it's just been released, and it's like sort of like a first dibs on the game. You get a small discount. So if you wanted to get it, you can. I ended up doing it. It's pretty affordable.
Pretty common on Steam to have like a little discount on day one, but they didn't even do like an early access run. They just launched it. And it's also, you can tell this game's made by a European studio, and it's just weird. It's like it's in their head as to what Route 66 and the American West is like. And it's pretty good, but it's very stereotyped in terms of what the Western United States and the desert are like. But also, it's not gallons of gas, it's liters, and it's dollars, but some of the prices are weird. Like, you can just tell that they're trying to fudge some of that because they just don't know, and it's fine. It's totally
it's
fine.
Endearing.
I'm happy to get liters of gas.
Yeah, this is such a fun looking game. I can't wait to try it.
It is. It's very good. As far as one of these games can be very hit and miss. This one is definitely a hit, and I just have to say the gameplay is actually really compelling and fun. The whole premise is kind of dumb and out there, but they make it a really fun loop, and you like doing it. And if you have any OCD at all, you're gonna love this game.
I do.
It's great.
Oh my god! One of my favorite things to do was clean up shit in Fallout 4. That was
you're screwed.
Oh my god, that was so fun.
Because this thing is basically a Fallout 4 cleanup mode for the first 2 hours. That's all you do, really.
I'm gonna open up like a bottle of wine, be like, Deanna, leave me alone. I need to clean up my gas station. And
that's right. This kid just put another penis on the wall. I'm busy.
So he literally draws penises on the wall.
Yeah, and his name's like Gervis or Purvis or some name. He's like this little redneck kid, and his dumb jeans, and he comes running in there and he's giggling, going hee hee, and he psh, 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 then runs to the next panel, hee hee hee, psh, 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 and then sprays like sometimes it's a poop or it's a words that just say your gas station sucks or whatever, and then you just go out there and paint over it after you chase him off or hit him with a rock or something.
Man,
it's a weird mechanic. I can't really explain it. It's a little like the alien bus showing up. It just blew my mind. I was like, what is this game doing? There's so much stuff I haven't unlocked, so I don't even know what's in store. There's got to be more.
It's got to be. I can't wait to try it. Well, thanks for bringing that to us.
Very good.
Heck yeah. And that's going to do it, guys. That's going to be a show. Why don't we clap it out like we normally do here? Nice little applause from the audience at home.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody listening at home, first of all, on Twitch and YouTube, thanks for hanging out with us. Scott Johnson, thanks for being a great guest. We appreciate you. This was a lot of fun.
Sure. Thanks, man. I appreciate being on. You guys are rad, and it was fun being on here with you.
Well, thank you. And where should people reach you if I'm going to do the podcast thing? So go ahead.
We all do it. If you want more, if you want to hear what I have to say about anything, or a bunch of my co-hosts have to say about stuff, especially in the gaming space, you can find all those podcasts over at frogpants.com. Just click on the podcast section, or you can go straight to frogpantsplays.com, where all the gaming stuff is kind of gooped up into one big ball there. So you can kind of find what you're looking for. In particular, I think people would really enjoy what we do on Core, which is kind of our general industry show. We cover everything from the news all the way down to all the games we're playing, and tons of commentary in between. Often goes long. My co-host John and Bo and I have a really good time on there, and it's currently our fastest growing show on the network. So if you want to see why and find out for yourself, head on over there and check it out. That's frogpants.com.
Highly recommend it to our listeners. If you haven't heard that show or anything that Scott does, please go check it out. If you'd like to listen to more of what we're doing here, you can head over to joystickandmouse.com. Make sure that you are subscribed. If you want to support what we're doing, head over to patreon.com/joystickandmouse. You can also get merch over at shop.joystickandmouse.com. Again, all of our contact information is at joystickandmouse.com. But if you would like to, email the show, it's joystickandmouse@gmail.com. So with that, gentlemen, we're going to do a quick round of goodbyes, starting with Diddy.
See you later, folks.
Mr. Johnson.
Thanks, everyone, and don't eat the yellow snow.
Okay, that's good. I like that one. And for me, be good to yourself. Be good to others. So long.
I mean, the full line is watch out where the...
If you like this show, check out more great content at incastmedianetwork.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
I was going to say, I forgot already. What was I saying?
If you like the full line.
Don't eat yellow snow.
Something about yellow
snow.
The
original original line is it's Frank Zappa, and he says,
Mhm.
"Watch out where the huskies go, and don't you eat that yellow snow." That's the actual line. It's an old song that I've never forgotten that song for some reason. I'm not even like a Zappa fan, but I love that song.
You're a hoot. If there's anybody that I would expect to say that, it's you. So I appreciate that.
Well, look, if P is in the story, Scott's there. I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Love it.
I like a good P story.
Love a good peace story.
Yeah.
All right. Good show. Appreciate you. Thanks for
Yeah, it
thanks
was
for
fun.
joining. Glad you had fun.
Yeah, it was way fun.
You did great.
Thanks, man. I feel like I've been at this for so long. I never know if it's any good or not, but I'm glad to hear it was.
Oh, it was great. Thank you, Scott.
You're
Appreciate it.
fine. You know, fine is
It was fine.
it was fine.
I mean, we're not going to win any Oscars today, but it was
We
all right.
might. Remember
We
that?
might. We might. Hey, when are we
We're
gonna play
not-
Devour, Scott?
Sometime I saw there's another patch. That thing gets patched all the
God,
freaking
it's
time.
getting
Man.
patched in a couple days with the new map, and it looks really scary and good.
Yeah. I'm looking at some video right here to see just how scared I need to be. It looks like it's actually coalescing into a much scarier affair.
It's pretty
than it used
spooky.
to be.
I wouldn't.
Terrifying.
I'll say this. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to play that one.
I mean, I'll play. The only way I play that game is with people.
Oh yeah, no, you'd be with me, and I wouldn't be as much of a wiener to you as I like normally would. But
He lies.
I don't know.
He lies.
I don't think you were so much a wiener as you were just, you knew what my buttons were and you were ready to push them.
pushed every single one.
Scott,
Yeah.
what was the other game where you're making potions? That sounds
Potion Craft. It's really cool. It's like it's a really interesting one of these. Like the art style looks like you're working on parchment. Like all of it does kind of. It's hard to explain. It's really, really cool. You should at least look up some videos of it. But basically you run a potion alchemy shop type thing, and you got like an herb garden place that's part of the play area where you're growing mushrooms and weird bushes and stuff that you need for your potions. And then you kind of have to discover your potions through this map system. It's difficult to describe, but like using the little mortar and pestle thing to grind up your ingredients, or stirring it into the pot, or adding fire to the pot. These things all affect the location on this alchemy map that you discover a fire potion, or you discover a health potion, or whatever. And then there's the store aspect where people are just like, my dog was burned to death and I got singed too, and I'm still in pain. Do you have anything for that? And so you sell them a healing potion, and then you can haggle over the price, that sort of thing. And then once in a while, it's cool. The style is really cool. Like it's like paper. It's hard to explain.
This looks like it would be a solid like mobile game.
Yeah, this is like
it'd be really good on mobile, probably. Yeah, iPad game, it'd be great on an iPad. There's no question. It probably will end up there. I don't know, but right now it's a Steam joint, and I think it's not out till someday this week. I forget what day.
Tomorrow. Comes out tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I got an early copy of it, and looks like tomorrow.
On my anniversary. I'm gonna ask Deanna for it for my anniversary.
Oh man, honey, I'm sorry. I'm busy making an ice potion for this man.
No, he's in a lot of pain. Okay, his tuchus hurts, and I need to help him fix it.
I'm a little confused by the haggle mechanic. I'm gonna figure it out, but there's something about it. It's not quite. I'm just not quite getting why it does how it works. But
yeah.
So I started haggling less to try to keep my prices decent, and maybe I just need to fiddle with it more. But
yeah,
there's a lot of weird little mechanics with it, and it's definitely one of those can't stop, got to do one more kind of vibes.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm gathering looking at it. I got a feeling gas station is going to be like that too.
Oh, it totally is, because just when you think, well, I'll do one more run, and then that way I can afford the expansion on the warehouse, and then I'm going to bed. Then it'll finish, and I'll go, oh, but wait, that means I just opened up cigarette and magazine sales. I'm going to put those in the store. And I'll go to the store and put those in there. And then when I'm there, I realize, oh shit, then busload of aliens are here. I I'm gonna make bank. Oh no, the ice cream machine's empty. Like it's a weird, it's so
a weird
weird
game. I love it.
It's
I like that sort
really
of thing.
weird. They went as far as like all of the individual snacks, drinks, beverages, wine, Cokes, all this kind of stuff look just like the thing they're trying to be, but they're not called that. So they've got a fake Oreo packet that looks just like it, but it's called Orongo or some other name, some fake name, so I don't have to pay, licensing for it. But they've hand done all that with like, I don't know, 100 different snack types, and some people want one more than another, and sometimes the prices are too high or low, or you want to buy low, obviously, and like the tires, when I need new tires for the garage, when people are getting their tires replaced, sometimes tires are too expensive, and I'm just like, well, I ain't fixing your tire then. And then people just honk and get pissed at you in the garage.
So you could just like choose like, hey, F you, get out of here. I'm not going to do your.
Kind of, yeah. Like there's a real sandboxiness to it.
I kind of like the idea.
And I would recommend very highly using mouse and keyboard. Controller support is there, but it's got some issues. There's some menus you can't even access, and I don't think they've got that fixed yet.
I don't know. I like
giant deal.
I like mouse and keyboard anyway. I mean, when possible.
Yeah, like the checkout mechanic when you're doing the register is so much easier with a mouse and keyboard, and it's basically just picking stuff up off a conveyor belt, swiping it, and dropping it into a basket. But you can combo it if you get them all perfect. Then you get more tip at the end. Like there's a bunch of shit like that.
I like that.
It's weird.
It's like everything that I want in a game. It sounds like.
Yeah, it's kind of it is for me too. It's a big surprise for me. I didn't expect it.
It kind of like it blew up everywhere though. Like a lot of people are talking about it, and I saw.
Oh yeah, no, it took off. Like I feel like it was. I mean, well, whatever. Like, I think people are looking for, even the big streamers are looking just for some goof to do while they're waiting for a patch or whatever they're doing.
Right.
And I think this just hit that feeling. And it's also just weird enough that it streams well because, weird streams well sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes people just want to experience that weird with you and for the first time. And it's like, it's an experience for everybody.
Well, you'll get to do that here. I'm telling you, it's freaking weird.
Well, maybe we'll do some of that this week. Not tomorrow though, chat. Tomorrow is my anniversary, and we're gonna be, I'm gonna be hanging out with my wife. It'll be a nice day.
This game would be amazing co-op. I don't know why that. Maybe they will add it, but right now it doesn't support it. But it'd be amazing.
It surprises me where they're like, it's kind of like low hanging fruit, and you'd think that they would just do it, but they don't for whatever reason. Maybe it's a system issue or something.
Hard. Co-ops.
I'm sure it's hard. I don't think netcode's ever easy. I mean, this thing's Unreal Engine, and they got a lot of built-in stuff, but I think it's still tricky.
Okay.
But being able to co-op would be amazing because I could, one of you's running register with a huge line of aliens, and you're like, well, one of us needs to go empty that warehouse. Because if you leave the warehouse door open, someone will steal your stuff.
No way, really?
It's probably perfect. Oh yeah. So you got to go out there and shut it when you get a shipment, and you have to unload that damn shipment. So while that's happening, people are piling up at the register. Now they're all dumb and will wait there forever. So it's not like you're going to piss people off necessarily. But it still has that feeling of I got to get back there and check these people out. But if it was co-op, you could be over there doing that while I go unload the truck, shut the doors again to make sure everything's safe, go restock the shelves, clean up the bathroom because there's a shit on the floor or whatever. And then
it was like a sloppy shit. Like not only is it just like the turd, it's like a puddle along with it.
Oh, that's not good.
It was gross.
Nobody wants a puddle for a poo.
No, it was a puddle of poo.
Puddle poo, the worst. Yeah. But yeah, if you end up playing it, you have to let me know what you think.
I will.
It's pretty rad.
I'm going to try to play it maybe this week. So friends at home, stay tuned. We're going to find out. We're going to end the stream here. So long, everybody. Thanks for